skin crawl, and I was like, ugh, I'm out. Especially when I was in my early teens and my money was fueling my weekend drinking habits. We're not saying that. I do not look cute as Tarzan or an octopus. Let's just say that. I have nothing in common with you. Celia, what the f are you saying? Welcome back to my channel, guys. It has been a little while since I've been back on here. I took a little hiatus from YouTube just because I've been so flat out with everything else that I'm doing, but I'm back and I'm super excited for this video. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about all of the different jobs that I've had. I was on TikTok Live the other day and someone asked me, what other jobs have you had? And I thought this would be great for a YouTube video to give you a bit of a background to the jobs that I've had and the role that they've all played in making me who I am today. Although the legal age is 14 and 9 months, I actually started working a lot sooner than that, probably around maybe 12 and a half or 13 years old, and that was doing babysitting. Now, if you've been watching my other videos, you know that I'm the eldest of 4 girls, and my mum had a lot of friends that had younger kids. So I basically just started babysitting for them, and words spread really quickly throughout like mum's friendship group, and all of a sudden I was doing babysitting nearly every Friday and Saturday night. I found babysitting really cruisy, really easy. I got along with the kids really well. I always wanted to be like the cool babysitter, so like I'd always let them stay up for like half an hour later than their actual bedtime, you know, getting their good books. Never had any issues getting them to go to bed, anything like that. Babysitting was really easy money for me, and it was a great way to earn money at a young age. Once the kids would go to bed, I would put a movie on and just chill out until the parents got home. Sometimes I was doing shifts from like, oh God, I don't even remember, maybe like 6 o'clock till midnight. Sometimes it was later, it all depends. And I'm pretty sure I was earning like $15 to $20 an hour back then at that young age. Now, I obviously didn't have my license back then, so when the parents would come home, they would either drop me out if they weren't drinking, obviously, or they would pay for a taxi, or mum would come and pick me up. I continued babysitting throughout my next few jobs because I found it really easy, it was really convenient, it worked in my schedule, and I only really stopped babysitting when I got to like 17, 18 because I started to go out on weekends and became more social, and yeah, wasn't keen to be sitting on the couch babysitting when I could be out with my friends partying. I want to mention that like babysitting is a very profitable business, especially because majority of the time that you're there, the kids are asleep. I did do some holiday babysitting for a family. So while the parents were working and the kids were on school holidays, I would look after them throughout the day. And that was obviously a lot more involved. We would go out, we would go for walks, we would do different things. But most of my babysitting jobs were just like after hours stuff or on Friday or Saturday nights. The kids would go to bed and they just wanted someone to be there and yeah, supervise, I guess. At one point, I actually considered opening like an agency where I could like be the middleman between like families looking for babysitters and managing like a group of babysitters themselves. But by this stage, I was kind of ready for more of a professional job, and that leads us on to job number 2. Job number 2. Now, my second job I really didn't enjoy, and that was me being a checkout chick at a local supermarket. To be honest, I basically hated this job. The supermarket was really old, it was kind of divey, its systems were really old, like the systems you used to scan food through was really old. The leadership was really poor. There wasn't a like team morale at all. It was kind of like come in, get your till, go and work at your register, and then leave for the day. There was no team collaboration at all, and it just wasn't like a friendly place to work. I got to a point where I actually really hated going into the workplace, but I'll run you through some of the things that sort of happened at this place too. So this was my first like official job. I had like a manager, I had responsibilities, and when you do, I think a lot of people find in their first job is that you learn a lot very quickly. I will never forget one of my first shifts. I had this elderly lady come in and she had a bunch of stuff, but the last 2 items that she put through was like a tub of ice cream, like a big 4-liter tub of ice cream and a roast chicken. And I put the roast chicken on top of the ice cream in the bag and she went berserk, like absolutely crazy, which I mean, probably very valid, but again, learnt things very quickly, realizing that hot chicken does not go with ice cream. This job taught me a lot about using my initiative and common sense and just how like the process works, inventory, making things look nice, that type of thing. Something else that was funny that happened at this workplace was, as I mentioned before, like the systems were really old, and I'm talking about like You know when you scan something through at the supermarket and it makes a beeping noise and then you know you've scanned it, so it's like done? This supermarket had systems where you could scan something and if it errored out, it would show on this tiny little screen. But if you didn't check that screen and you kept scanning stuff, it would still make a beeping noise of the scanning. But when you actually check back, all of those other items you'd scanned hadn't actually scanned through because there was an error showing. I cannot tell you the amount of times this happened, and I definitely gave away bags and bags of free groceries. There is a reason why I'm not mentioning the names of these employers. In short, this job just really wasn't for me. I think if I was at like a more modern, well-known supermarket, maybe it would have been better, but this one was just not that great. I was probably at this job for about maybe 12 months, maybe a little bit over, and then I went into my second official job, which is job number 3. My third job was being a party hostess. That sounds kind of weird. Let me rephrase that. My third job was a kids party host. So before I left the supermarket, I got my next job, and that was this party hosting thing at a kids indoor play center. The place had a massive indoor playground, and it also had 4 different party rooms that were like themed. I think there was like a fairy room, a jungle room, under the sea, and then pirate room. So they had like these themed party rooms, right? And as a party host, you would run back-to-back parties for kids throughout the day. Most of my work was either after hours, so I would be able to finish school and then go and do one party, and that would be like my shift after school. But most of my work was Saturdays and Sundays, where we would run 4 back-to-back parties. The parties went for an hour and a half, and then you had half hour in between parties to do like the cleanup and set up for the next party. This job was actually really fun. I had 2 of my best friends working there, and it just made the weekends fly. Like Saturdays would go so quickly. This job taught me a lot about time management, being organized, and also how to bribe children. I really enjoyed this job, especially when my friends started working. The shifts would go super quick. The parents were always really lovely because like you were keeping their kids entertained. Your main role was to keep the birthday kid like happy and that he was enjoying his party, his or her birthday party. Now, the reason that I left this job was, one, I was kind of looking for something a little bit more professional. Like I was still like obviously at school, but I was kind of like, I don't really want to be a party hostess anymore. And they brought in this new thing where they wanted us as the party host to dress up in the theme for the party room. So dressing up in the pink fairy room, that was fine, that was cute. Dressing up as Tarzan and an octopus in the sea room wasn't cute, and I was just kind of over it. So that leads me on to job number 3, and again, I got my next job before I left this one. So I always knew what I was going towards. I didn't like have any time where I wasn't working. Job number 4 was at a jewelry store, and this was kind of interesting because 1, I rarely wore jewelry, and 2, I'd never had any sales experience at all. Like, yeah, I'd made coffees and stuff at the kids' party play area and like sold party packages and stuff, but we never really were pushy salesmen. Like that just wasn't our thing. But working in a jewelry store, although I was casual, I still had like targets that they wanted us to hit of sales. Now by this stage I had finished school and I was studying, and this was just like a casual job around my study hours. I learned very quickly that being a pushy salesperson and seeing everyone that walked in the store as a dollar figure just wasn't me, and that definitely reflected in my sales because I didn't push people to buy stuff. We did do a lot of training for like trying to make sales and that type of thing, but I kind of just like to look busy, like I was doing stuff, putting stuff away, and then as someone would come in, I'd be like, oh, let me know if you need a hand, like just yell out and I'm happy to show you anything. That I felt was a better way to engage with people than having someone come in and be like, hi, what can I help you with? Because they're always gonna say, and I did the same thing, I'm like, just leave me be. Just let me have a little look around. If I'm gonna ask a question to see something, I'm gonna come and ask it. Again, maybe that's why I had really poor sales figures, but I wasn't into selling. I wasn't like a pushy salesperson. Buy this ring. I also didn't really know much about jewelry. I was like gold, silver, white gold. Turns out there's a lot more different things to know, like cuts of diamonds, all this different stuff, and I was just like, it wasn't really my thing. The boss here was also a bit of a slime ball. He was just, the way he interacted with customers just made my skin crawl, and I was like, ugh, I'm out. So again, I looked for another job and found another job and then resigned from this one. This leads us to job number 5. Job number 5 was at a customer service center, and that was me being like a consultant on the phone for inbound calls. The first account that I was on here was for a banking team. We worked for a well-known bank in Australia, and we had employees from that bank ringing us to help them with password issues for systems that they use, installation for new programs, any program issues they had, that type of thing. They would ring us and we would provide support and step them through how to resolve these issues. To be honest, the work was pretty boring, but it was super flexible, and that was great because I was still studying at this time. I was also able to do like 10-hour shifts, so I might do 2 of those a week and that would be my week done. It was super easy to pick up shifts and cancel shifts as I didn't want to work. Again, I was casual, so I had that flexibility. After about a year in this job, my team got relocated to Adelaide. So we basically trained up an Adelaide team and they took over the work. But because we worked in a large customer service center, there was multiple other teams in the building. So before my account fully had transitioned, I reached out to a few of the managers around the building and just said, hey, I'm currently working on this team. It's obviously transitioning. It was a known thing. Do you have any casual positions? These are the hours that I like to work. I'm pretty flexible. Do you have anything available? And I was lucky enough to get moved to another team. Now, this other team was very different. It was basically a team that was made up of lots of small accounts all joined into one, and they also did 24/7 work. I had a small group of people that I really got along with well. There was like 5 of us. But I didn't really align with the leadership. I didn't align with majority of the team members. They were lovely, but they were the type of people to go home and slay dragons online, then come to work and talk about it. And I was like, I have nothing in common with you. But again, it was flexible around my work. Now, during this employment, this is when I started doing eyelash extensions. So if you've seen my video on when I started my eyelash extension business, this is around this time frame. Very quickly, I realized that I could earn more money doing lashes working less hours. So I quit. At this point in time, I was 21 years old and I was about to leave this reliable casual job for working for myself at 21. Something that I do want to mention is that when I resigned, I actually rang my manager and was like, hey, just letting you know I'm resigning and I won't be coming back into work. But I do want to make mention that I didn't burn that bridge. I knew that I was only 21. I was like, I'm not really sure where lashes is going to go. And I knew that having a professional reference would be really handy if I ever wanted to apply for other jobs. This now leads to job number 6, which is where I was self-employed and I was working for myself doing eyelash extensions. I did eyelash extensions solely for about probably 9 to 12 months, and that's when the lash boom happened in my hometown and everyone started doing them, so it became like kind of a flooded market. If you want to know more about my eyelash extension business that still runs today, check out my YouTube video that I made on that. I will link it above and I'll also link it in the description below. After this lash boom happened, I kind of got to the point where I was like, I kind of want steady, reliable income, knowing what's coming in each week. So I decided to look for some jobs. A job popped up, I applied and I got an interview, and that leads us to job number 7. So I applied for the job and got it, and it was all very similar to the customer service type work that I've been doing in all of my years beforehand. Now, once I got this job, I moved up the ranks fairly quickly. So I started as a casual. It was full-time work, but it was as a casual employee, and within the first 4 weeks, I had gained a leadership position of an SME, which is a subject matter expert. After about another year, I took on the team leader role, and then a year after that, I took on the manager role. So moved up very quickly within a short time frame, but I loved it. So this job was working for a major Australian telecommunications company. We did a lot of support for their field technicians. We did a lot of project work. We ordered materials, we tracked materials. We did a huge range of things. And at my peak when I was managing, I had a team of 31 direct reports. I think I was 26 at that stage, and majority of my team were older than me, but I was their manager. I loved this job. I really did. I loved my team. I loved the client. What I really didn't align with was my leadership. My leadership weren't based where we were based. They were based all around Australia. And getting them on board to make changes, to make the team more efficient, was really difficult. But I guess that's just what happens in big corporations where they're driven by figures and not by the people. Long story short, I was really good at this job. Obviously I had all of these like customer service background. I had great people skills. I was able to manage conflict resolution, keep the client happy whilst also doing a fantastic job and making sure that everything was running smoothly. The best part about this job was because I was, and not to toot my own horn, but because I was so good at my job, I had a lot of downtime where I'm sitting at my desk and I can start all of my other businesses. So if you've watched my YouTube videos before, whilst having this full-time job, I was able to start my period parcel business, which was called My Monthly. I'll insert a video here. I'll also link it below. I also started my dropshipping business where I also imported products from Bali. And I also was able to start my balloon event decorating business. This job gave me some phenomenal opportunities. For example, I did a lot of training days down in Melbourne, and because they were consecutive days, work would cover my accommodation and I would book the Crown, so they would pay for that. They'd cover all of my food, basically everything. But probably one of the major highlights for me was that I got to travel to India. Last year around June, now I finished up this full-time job December 31st, but if we roll that back to mid last year, so June 2019, that's when we found out that the full account that my team did, all of the work we did was being transitioned to an Indian team. So this was really daunting because we were given like a time frame of 6 months to transition all of our work. And not only did I need to tell my team members this and say, hey, look, this is what's happening, but I then needed their help to try and do it. But basically, December 31st last year, 2019, I finished. I was made redundant and I finished up my full-time employment. So as of January 1st, job number, what are we up to? Job number 7 is being full-time employed. So to finish up, I thought I'd give you a run through of what I've been doing this year. 2020 has most definitely not gone to plan in any way, shape or form, and I'm sure a lot of people can align with that. 2020 for me was going to be the year where I worked for myself. I was able to grow my businesses, work on a new business that's hopefully coming out soon. But obviously things have been slowed down due to COVID-19, and that's perfectly fine. It's been a really good year to reflect on what's important to me and where I want my life to go and what I want my earnings to look like, all that type of stuff. If you've seen my video on my income streams, again, I will link that below. In that video, I speak about how I'm wanting to increase my income streams and how I'm going to do that. And 2020 has definitely allowed me to do that because I have had downtime with the fact that some of my businesses have had to close temporarily while we go through lockdown in the state of Victoria in Australia. But we are starting to come out of that now, which is great because business will start to pick back up again. But yeah, that's kind of like my employment story of all the different jobs that I've had. If you do have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you have liked this video, pretty please leave a like. It does really help my channel. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.